little whitewash chimney. Mississippi's flowing on the sunny southern shore, and a steamboat comes puffing around the bend. There's a little old log cabin with a grapevine on the door, and a little whitewash chimney at the end. I'm going back to the place I love so well, to the folks who want me all they're on again. And that little old log cabin with the grapevine on the door, and a little whitewash chimney at the end. Oh, I went away up north where they told me I would find money hanging round like apples on the tree. But as my sweetheart told me, there was nothing of the kind, and the weather was so cold I thought I'd freeze. I'm going back to the place I love so well, and the folks who want me all they're on again. And that little old log cabin with the grapevine on the door, and a little whitewash chimney at the end. Yeah, I was born here and been here all my life. And my parents both played music. My dad, he played the fiddle and the guitar and the clawhammer banjo. And my mother, she could play the guitar. And of course, they had music at our house occasionally, you know, on a Saturday night. We'd get together, and the neighbors and my grandfather and uncles and all would come in and play. And so that's where I got exposed to it right off the bat. And I've been playing the guitar ever since I was 6 years old. And of course, when Willard moved here, we used to get together. He'd come here as a manager of a store, and we bothered him every night. He'd never get to go home, you know, after work. We'd meet him down at the back of the store and play in the warehouse section. Finally, he'd get to go home late at night, but that's how we first got acquainted, was playing in that store.
In 1970, the Highlanders were formed, and that was with a little different group. But after about 3 years, Bobby joined us, and so we were together
since '74.
'74. So it was a long time, 30-some years. 38?
38 years.
38 years. We'll film all that.
And what Willard and I play is, like he said, things that I grew up listening at. And of course, I was more oriented to the local music around here that I heard at Saturday night jams, you know, when we get together, which is more old time, I guess, than bluegrass. So that's what Willard and I play. I know where I am sleeping, then perhaps you'll wait for me. I'd heard about these fellas, you know, early on when I was probably about 15 or 16 years old. I'd heard about Ernest East and Fred Cochran and all of them. Heard the other musicians talk about them, but I'd never met them, and had no idea that I would till Kyle Creed bought a store up there next to where I live, and he and his wife run a little country store. And he told me, he said, Bobby said, we'll go down there and I'll introduce you to some musicians. And said, we'll go down to Fred Cochran one of these Saturday nights. So he arranged it, and we went down to Fred Cochran. He lived down at Low Gap. And he lived in just a little old, it was a little old 4-room cabin, actually is what it was. And so we went down there one Saturday night, and before I knew it, or the next thing I knew, here come Ernest East and Paul Sutphin and Kyle Creed and Fred Cochran and myself, I was there playing the guitar. And so we had a jam that night. And then the next place we went to Ernest East's house over at Round Peak. And then from there we went to Tommy Gerald's about 2 or 3 months later, and I met the Geralds. And I mean, that was the ultimate right there, you know, the old-time musicians around that area. Tomorrow was our way. One of the things I think is interesting in our relationship, even though we played in a band, a bluegrass band, we never made restrictions on each other, you know. Willard could play with whoever he wanted to, and I could too, so we played with different groups, although we had a band. And so that let us free, you know, to do whatever we wanted to. And so we got to play a lot of music that way. That's one of the things I think that helped our relationship a whole lot. We didn't have any. I know I played in some bands that they didn't want you to play with anybody else. They wanted you to be true to them all through the time, you know. But we weren't like that. So it just made a good relationship for us.